I'm Jason Gilbo here at Fantasy Football Cafe. Where do I even begin with the Green Bay Packers? Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Eddie Lacy, Aaron Rodgers. I don't even know where to start. I have nothing bad to say about this Packers offense for fantasy and just have all the praise in the world for them. You got four dominant guys on offense, and they all just rank top five. Top five running back, two top 10 wide receivers, a top quarterback who I think is the best in the league. Put the best fantasy quarterback slightly, you got Andrew Luck who's making some noise here. But Rodgers is still the top fantasy guy. Took his foot off the gas tons of times last season. He's got throwing 6 touchdowns against the Bears defense before the half even ends, and then, backups are getting time. You hope they can keep things close this season so Rodgers can really blow the lid off the thing. So they ranked first in yards per play despite 24th in offensive plays. That's just how efficient they were last season. It's pretty impressive. And a balanced offense, spreading out attempts. You got Rodgers, he only threw the ball 520 times, ranked 14th in the league, and yet was a top fantasy quarterback. His numbers, 38 touchdowns, 4,400 yards. You're going to see that this season yet again. That's probably his floor at this point. You could even see him creep into the 40s for touchdowns. All of his weapons are just phenomenal, and I don't see anything less from Rodgers in 2015. Nelson, Randall Cobb, both monster years. I still like Nelson slightly ahead of Cobb this season, although you could probably argue either way, but the difference isn't really significant. And the connection they both have when plays break down and there's pressure, it's impressive. It's really amazing to watch, and Cobb really stepped up last year in that aspect. Cobb and Nelson combined for 25 touchdowns. Nelson had 13, Cobb 12. Yeah, you could argue Cobb may have overstepped in his touchdown game, but I think double-digit touchdowns is probably where he's going to end up. And even with the off-season hip surgery for Nelson, I still like him as a top 10 wideout coming into the year. And you got to like Cobb in the late second rounds, which is where he's going right now. Real safe floor for a wide receiver 2, pushing wide receiver 1 upside. And, he's likely going to flirt with double-digit touchdowns. There's no real tight end. Yeah, he's got the running game, but the Packers are just going to put up a ton of points this year, and there's too much to go around for them to not like them. Davante Adams is a guy I'm taking in deeper leagues or as a late-round flyer just because, the hype is coming in the season. Mike McCarthy really likes him, declared him as the MVP of OTAs. Real solid guy, and, another skill position player come in. You could argue that there may be not enough targets for him to go around, but he's going to be a wide receiver 3 on that team. And like I said, no tight end. He's going to be the third guy in the passing game. So you got to like that. Just a talented wideout with all the tools. I'm taking him in deeper leagues and also keeping an eye on him in case Nelson has some trouble with the hip because Adams will jump up and produce right away. Looking at Eddie Lacy, 20 rushing touchdowns in 2 years, 1,100 yards plus in each season, 4.4 yards per carry. Also saw a big boost in the passing game last season with 55 targets and 42 receptions and 4 touchdowns. Not a lot of arguments for me as him as a top 5 running back. You could even rank him ahead of a few guys there with Forte and Charles. Really you can argue that all day. Been consistent in 2 seasons here. And with so much respect for the passing game, he's just going to eat on the ground all day. The Packers really lack at the tight end spot as if they needed room for another fantasy option. The defense could be in the top 10, but secondary is still questionable for me. I need to see a little bit more consistency from them. So that's probably an issue there. No news here. I mean, the Packers provide one of the best fantasy value teams or best fantasy options as a team as a whole. They're just phenomenal, top from bottom.